Hi, this is Jim Minrod, Pre-Press Manager from the Standard Group. We're bringing this video today to help show some capabilities that we have to help keep your team on the same page while working on your printing projects. More and more teams are working remotely, and this tool is very helpful in making that collaboration of your printing projects seamless. This video will be a quick overview of the options that you would have as a user. We will be rolling out more in-depth videos showcasing the ability of each tool more in-depth. If you have any further questions, please reach out to your salesperson and we can get more in-depth personalized look at how this would work for your company. The best part about all of this, it's free. All right, let's get started. Okay, so once we're logged in, I'm logged in as administrator, so there's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff on here you won't really need to know. But I did want to point out all the different people we made and their different rights. So you have approvers, and you can see in the window to the left here that everything in there we can turn on and off rights, so we can make different users specific to whatever you want those people to be doing. We do have a bunch of batched in ones, so we have customer administrators, customer users. These naming is more or less just something we called it, just like this person is just a reviewer. So the only thing they can view all the pages, and you get down to the next one. Approval is they can annotate on it. So you can have different people just writing on it, and view Preflight data. If we Preflight it, we can have this upload and automatically Preflight your file for you. So if you're doing something specific where it only had to be 2 spot colors or something along those lines, or just checking for different options. Then over in this, I put that back up. Over in the same window, you have where they can view Preflight data, use compare feature, which I'll go through quickly here. When we upload a change, they can use that feature. Download JPEG proofs and download PDF proofs. Everything else that's grayed out is because they're just a reviewer. So when you have your file and you have an administrator or somebody that you want other people to look at it, maybe you're a designer and you want your customer to look at it, and you don't want them to approve it, because now, of course, we can set this up once you do the first 2 jobs. When this job is set up, when you approve it, we'll double check and make sure it's really approved. But the goal to this software is that when you approve it on here, it's approved. It's ready to run. We can make plates. We can get printing. So you want certain people to be able to approve it, not really approve it. They can, the reviewer can mark it reviewed. So it gives it a green check mark that they reviewed it. But as far as the printing company end of it, we only see that they reviewed it, but it's not marked okay to us. That's only a right given to approvers, and that's why we like to go through these different steps to show you each person's ability, what we can and can't turn off for them. So it gives you the option to have somebody else look at it before you do. If they want to change things, we can have it, we update those changes. They upload a new file, however that would work out on your company. It's very versatile. We can change it to match whatever you need. Okay, so you see you got approvers. This is a creator reviewer. More options, so they can create jobs, they can upload files, and like I said, designers, bosses, a helper can have approver rights. So if Heather Helper here is Bob's assistant, and he's tied up and she needs to look at it or whatever, she has the rights, or he just says, okay, I'm take care of it, she can approve it. And it's just something that we can turn on or off per user. All right, so let's go in and look at the job that this customer has. Okay, so now we're in the job. This is the 16-page connect booklet that they uploaded. We processed it, put it back up here, and these question marks mean that Prepress took it, or it was automatically put in here for somebody to review. So the question marks means, okay, these people did or didn't or did not look at it yet, but we did ask for somebody to look at it in Prepress. That's why it's up on InSite, and that's why it's viewing here. If you wanted to just upload a file and have it processed, this would do the same, where it just asks people to review it. We'll go through the tools quick. Upload files. Like I said, I'm logged in as myself. I'll go through some of these other people and the different rights to help show some of the other tools that they might not have options to. But you can upload files, Smart Review, Preview, and Secure Link. Secure Link allows us to take this file and send it to somebody that can open it without a password, that might be going away, where we, because we got to lock it down with some type of password. But you can send a link similar to Dropbox, but people can view it and work on this without having any software. This is all based on the web, and all, anybody can look at it that had that link that you can send. Most things have that turned off where people can't send it, but like I said, with the versatility, we can give different options to different operators in your company. Smart Review, as we go through these tools, Smart Review is everything, bells, whistles, anything you could think of that you really would like to do to a file. Annotate, view, check the CMYK values, check the trim boxes, media boxes, view it. It's everything. It's everything's in there. Preview is for somebody who doesn't really need all that, doesn't want to look at all the bells and whistles. Just give me a quick preview. One of the cool features of Preview is you have the page flip look. So for somebody that likes more hands-on, where you prefer to have that hand-on proof, we can do it digitally. I think it helps, gives people, more of an aesthetic look where you're looking, it feels like you're looking at a proof when you turn the page. You can view it in different ways, but the preview is really, it just takes a lot of the bells and whistles out, so you're not looking at all these different tools and people get frustrated. It's a very quick look at a file, approve it, and move on. Okay, so we'll take a quick look through here. You have this is a 16-page booklet. One of the first things, if you're using InSite, this new feature, they updated things, and hopefully it'll fix a couple. But right now, the select all is right down here. It's kind of hidden as far as I'm concerned. But so if you want it to work on one page or work on all, you can select all. Your statuses are very important, especially if you have a bigger book. Right now, the status is all pages. You can look at, so once we get into rejecting and reviewed, and you can start filtering out the bad pages, look at what needs to be changed, or hey, how many pages do I have that are okay? Reviewer is all, so we have Andy the approver, Bob the boss, Debbie designer. You can view by just their features on what they approved or didn't approve. Signature is all. That won't matter to a lot of people. That really is more of a pre-press deal. Groups, we don't have, nothing's grouped in this job. Okay, so I want to start from the beginning, I guess. I added a bunch of other users in there. One person I wanted to add was, okay, so we're going to add this Heather helper. This is the email that Heather would have received. So it's coming from InSite@standardgroup.com. Welcome to InSite. So here's your link to take you to the web page. But the first thing you want to do is select the password and copy it, because you're going to use that later. So sometimes when you type it out, it does it. I don't know if it adds a space or whatever, but sometimes it hasn't been working. So I would copy it and then we'll paste it in there. So it's usually the first letter, your first name, and then your last name. Again, this master media is made up, but so you would click on the link here. It would take you to this window, and we'll type in Heather's information here, and then her password. And once you click log in, sometimes it'll come up, it looks like it doesn't work, but it's something I definitely want to point out in this video. Okay, so it worked, but it looks like it took it away, and they made this font so small, but it says, please reset your password to continue. Down below here, you'll see where it says change password. That wasn't there before, and now it's here. Now that you logged in, the first one worked, but it's going to force you to change it. Because we don't need to know your passwords. It'll give you the ability, or an administrator the ability, to reset someone's password, or you can call us and we can reset it again, but we just make it a temporary password and you can change it to whatever you want. We don't, we're not storing that information. So username is Heather. Current password is, we'll paste back in what we had there, and the new password is whatever you want it to be. And make sure they both match. So you typed in your current password, which is the one you pasted, and now the new, and then you're going to confirm whatever you just typed in new. So now that's your new password to access the InSite server. Hit submit, and down here you see it says password. Your password has been successful, entered successfully. So now you got to go back and log in again with the new password. So now when I log in, this is what Heather sees. So she can create a job, but you notice some of the other things that I had on mine, she doesn't have access to. Some are turned off on purpose, some aren't. Like I said, we can add different features for different users. So right now she only sees if there was multiple jobs that we had in-house, she would see those to pick from. So right now she only sees this job. And so now she could see who else was on there to approve, and who can reject or whatever to these pages. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out of here, because now you can see that she sees it. She can upload files. She can do a smart review or a preview. But I'm going to go back to log in as a different user, just so you can see the review process. So I'll log in as like Vivian Reviewer or something, just so you can see what she can type in these other two tools, the Smart Review and Preview. So now I'm logged in. Up here you'll see it's Vivian Viewer. If you did want to change your own password, so I clicked on it up here in the upper right hand corner, it brings up this. So you can't change your username, but you can change your password. So if you decide you want to change it or whatever, any user can change their own password. Like I said, we're not storing that information. We open up this Connect book. Like I said, we have 16 pages. As I mentioned, you got your select all right here. But it doesn't matter when you want to do a smart review or a preview. I believe if you just click any page and hit preview, or just hit preview from the beginning there, it'll open up the preview. So it takes a second, but you can see all your thumbnails on the side here. All of this is changeable by making them, sliding things around. A lot of it is very similar. If you're used to Acrobat, it'll be the same thing. Unassigned pages. Right now I don't have this book into an in position. Normally your jobs would show, instead of unassigned, it would show you in posed. And when we go into the compare feature, I will have this into an in position and show you the difference of the assigned and unassigned pages. Okay, so the next tool over here is Resize Thumbnails. You click it, it'll give you a different option here of how big or small you want it to make these. All right, the other view here is after thumbnails, you can go to File Name List, and I think that's to me it's a better way of viewing these things. If you're getting revised pages, or the name is gonna, like we add like R1 or R2 for revision 2, revision 3, or different page numbers on it to show the difference. And this would be back to the assigned thing again, the assigned pages and the unassigned pages. And like I mentioned, I'll get that into an in position and show the difference when we do the compare feature. So the next tool over, it's showing you all these pages as single view. You can go as a spread view, and we're in preview, so this is the one I was saying that doesn't have all the bells and whistles. Spread view usually is how people are going to view a book for looking at it, but it depends on what you prefer. So when I go to spread view, you'll see I'm on page 1 of 16 here in the center, and you can click on it and it'll turn the pages for you. Okay, so we're on this page. The other thing is, if you really, you're into that, the turn feature. As I'm going through this, you can turn it. It looks like you're turning a page. These are all, in theory, they're high and low res views. So when you start doing this page turn feature, it takes a little bit more memory than some of the other ones. But if you really like that feel of turning a book, that gives you the visual feature, I guess you would say. And we're viewing this as spread, so I can go back to single page view, but the page turn doesn't work. So if I put that back, this does the same. So, it's the same as turning it by hand. It's a little quicker, and the view, it depends on the speed of your computer. So we're at the spread here. We're at pages 8 and 9. So up here it's showing, in the top here, it's showing 8 and 9. Or 8-9, so you're looking at the spread of the 8 and 9, which are actually, if you look in the lower left-hand corner, you're on folio 6 and folio 7. Something good to keep in mind, especially when we're typing. emails back and forth for communication. Somebody's talking about page 8, but if there's folios, it's good to refer to them as folio 6, page 8, or something like that. It just helps. And some of the features here, the reporting, will eliminate that for your communication to us as far as what needs to be changed if you want us to do the changes. The other thing you can do is, so this is going next page, but you can also hit here and it would take you right to the end of the book, which really doesn't help us in this, but you can jump right back to the first one. You can also click on anything in the side here and it'll take you to that spread. Show bleed, probably wouldn't do this in a thumbnail view, but especially if you had somebody who was working on this book and you're a designer, or somebody in the art end of this and not somebody that wanted to see it cropped down to size, you can hit show bleed and it'll show you your crop marks and your page information. So down here you'll see it's showing you the InDesign page number. To get back to my point about the page number compared to the folio, that'll show you the page number. And all it's doing is showing you the bleed crop mark view, and none of the trim boxes or anything else, which will show you in Smart Review. But this is pretty straightforward, very quick overview. I'm going to turn that back off so we don't see the bleed. If you had a mail panel or something was on there and you wanted to see this thing rotated, you can rotate. You can rotate pages 180 if something was upside down and you wanted to read it without turning your head or whatever. The zoom slider, this really is just, it'll slide in and out. And here's my point about it being low res and high res. When you're zoomed out to here, it actually took like 3 or 4 different versions of this file. So you can go through quicker at this view, but in theory it is low res if you zoomed in, but we're not. But when you go to zoom in, what it's doing is that you can see it refreshing a little bit, and it's changing back to the higher res view of certain sections of whatever you're zoomed in at. So, at this point here, it should tell me 300%. So we're at 300% zoomed in. And all the fonts, everything, you can see little dots. Everything's crystal clear as far as resolution. The other feature in this is to view it as full screen. I'll click that on. See, it'll take a second, but you do lose all your tools. So it's great if you have a small screen and you want to get used to this view of it. All your tools end up over here, but you lose some of your, you got to hover over it to bring the tools back up. To view it that way. You just want to hit your escape key and that'll take you back out of this view. Okay, so now from 100% view here, you'll see I'm logged in as Vivian Viewer. So she doesn't have the rights to approve it. It says approval not available, insufficient rights, contact your administrator. So the next one over here, everything's grayed out because she's just a reviewer. So she can only review it. She can look through different pages, but she can't approve, can't reject. But she should be able to go into Smart Review, and that's what this button is. It looks like an annotations button, but really it's just something that takes you into Smart Review section. Similar to the other one, very similar to Acrobat. Each will go across the top here. Files. So now you have a spread list, a file name list, thumbnail grid. It's really just more, a lot of this is views to make it easier for you to check things out. This is probably the go-to one if you're working on a booklet. It shows you the cover, page 2, page 3. It's in the order you would look at the book. So if you're the designer or whatever, this is going to be more of a common view for you to look at to find out what you're looking for. Right now, it's viewed as a single. We can view it as a spread. It doesn't have the page turn like we were looking at. So it's one of the bells and whistles that it doesn't have, but everything's the same here. Page 4, page 5. It's actually folio 2 and folio 3. And she doesn't have it gives her the right to review okay. If you're in preview and you just want to go through that whole thing, you can go back as Vivian and she can go back and review the whole job. And that, instead of doing one page at a time here, and you could if you wanted to do one page at a time and review it, or if you wanted to click off of it and say it's not okay, and Vivian thinks that the word quick is spelled wrong or whatever, she can actually review that not okay and then put that comment in here. Okay, so she could put a comment, should we change the word quick to something else? She hits apply, and now that'll show up for everybody else in the place or in your company. And we'll just close that. Okay, so now back up to here. The next tool over is compare view. We'll go through that separate. I'll make a change to a file, a page, and then we'll show you how somebody would compare what changed and what didn't. That feature is something that when you do the changes and you want to be able to use that, we need to, in pre-press, we need to keep both the bad page and the good page in a job. That's not our normal procedure, just because we don't want something getting printed that's not correct. But if you did want to use that view, we can put the page back in, the old page and the new page, so you can use the compare to check the changes. Page that turns are the same as what we showed in the preview. So Smart Review is kind of similar there. You can rotate your page. Now we can zoom. The zoom tool is a little more forgiving, where you put now you actually have instead of taking a slider, you can click on the zoom and use your little magnifying glass to zoom in on specific areas. So that went to 300%, but we still have more. Now we're looking at 6,400%. Now you're looking at pixels. So just again, the more bells and whistles on the Smart Review. Okay, so going across the top, we have rotate, just like we had in preview. The rest of these views here, all these tools from the left here to this one, same thing as the full screen view. I'm not going to go into the full screen again, but each one of these is just a different way to view these pages. And I think most of them will make more sense in single page, so I'll go back to that view. So in Smart Review, you have your zoom tool where you click on it, and now you have a magnifying glass if you wanted to zoom in on something specific. Zoom into that area. You want to zoom in even closer here. You see it's a little blurry, and it'll come back. It's what it's doing is searching from the low res to high res view, and this is at 2,400%. Like I said, you can go 56%, 5,600%. Most people don't need, or 6,400% actually. So most people don't need any of that. So when you're zoomed in, you can actually use this as a slider, or you can use your magnifying like I was doing. So you can zoom into a specific percentage. If you like that, the next thing over, okay, so you checked out what you wanted there. Best fit really is make it fit that screen window. To me, most of the times, especially if you're checking type, this fit to width is going to be your best option if you wanted to scroll through things. If you were checking type on a specific page or whatever. 1:1 is actual size. So this is an 8.5 by 11, or it's a little bit shy of 11 inches. It's 10 3/8, I believe. But if you had a postcard or something, you wanted to see it at actual size, where if you took it and measured it on your screen, it should measure 3x5 card or a business card size. Not too sure why people would need that, especially when we get into some of these other tools. You'll understand why. So I'm going to skip the full screen because we showed that in the preview. You can print if you wanted to print just that page, several pages. Your preferences, there's not a whole lot in there that makes sense for me to explain to anybody to change. So across the top here, you have your move tool. So it turns it into a hand. You want to skip around, move things around, and zoom in more. So if you want to zoom in, check out more details. That's okay. So the move tool is kind of self-explanatory. Your text tool is if you wanted to, okay, so I'm showing as Vivian Viewer, I wanted to put a note, hey, maybe this type shouldn't be white or something along that line. I'm just going to get rid of that. Oval tool, everything, the rest of this stuff, the next 4 or 5 here are to mark up or write notes or draw, hey, do this, don't do that, to the PDF itself. I'm going to go to the measure tool. or ruler tool it's called. And if I wanted to know the width of this yellow box, I just click with the measure tool, and you can see I can check the angles. So if you wanted to go from corner to corner to find out, but we'll use the square tool for that. But if I hold the shift key down, it'll measure straight across, so you're measuring straight across. You're not taking an angle and getting a wrong measurement. So that's saying it's 2.76 inches, so just a hair under 2 3/4. If I leave that off, it'll stay there and it'll show you the dimensions there. If I wanted to know, any distance from this corner to that corner, same thing, we can drag down. I have, a little over 6.5 inches there. So the next tool is your square tool. And if I wanted to find out what the square of, or the dimensions of this gray box here, what that ends up being, it's actually 2 3/4 wide by almost 3 inches high. So it gives us an area of 8 1/4 inches squared. That is good for when you're doing mail panels or something like that. You want to make sure the UPS barcode, or the United States barcode will fit, and the names and everything else, and you have enough clearance for their machinery, things like that. And once these are on there, if you didn't want to see them anymore, go to one of the points and right click and delete. So I'm going to clean this page up because we really don't need that information. If you don't save it, or if it didn't save and you go to a different page, I believe they'll go away as well. So the next tool is, these come in really handy if you want to check alignment of things. You got a horizontal guide and a vertical guide. Just drag down, put the guides wherever you want. If you wanted to find out if that's there, or bring one in from this side. If I want to check alignment on the numbers here, do I want that to line up in the center? Anything along that line. Then your eyedropper tool, I wouldn't put this down as being something that's really, really specific, but it's definitely good enough to give you an idea of whether it's going to give you the densitometer readings. So if I click on it, it shows me that yellow area where I just clicked it shows me the CMYK values of 0, 18, and 100, and then 0 black. So there's no cyan, there's no black. This is only 18% magenta. And if I hover back over, it'll bring it back up. And 100% yellow. So that can stay there, so you can hover over them if you wanted to remember. As long as I'm still on the tool, I can click this area. Okay, that T is the same. 0, 18, 100, 0. I want to check that. Same build. So if you were checking things across pages, or to find out your values of your CMYKs, to check branding or whatever, it's a quick check without anybody having Acrobat Pro or anything else. So that's it for the tools there. Now you come down all of this section here. Your info this is going to be overwhelming for most people. The biggest thing, if you're looking for size, your trim box is what is the finished size of a piece. Preflight, I didn't have a preflight on this. We can set up specific preflights for files if you wanted us to check certain things. So no preflight information. That preflight would also show a report and give you options. But for this video, we're just trying to keep it moving. So now, as I said, there's no cyan and black in here. If I wanted to turn off the yellow, the only catch here is I could turn it off. It doesn't go away. You got to hit apply. So once I hit apply, it'll show me what this job would look like with no yellow. If you wanted to check your black, make sure your type was just black and not 4-color. You can see the black goes away. Turn back on all of them. But every time you change something, you got to hit apply. It forces it to refresh. But again, a very good tool to check out if you had spot colors or anything along those lines.